Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Well, almost good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second session in our webinar series on how to create a compelling narrative for your postgraduate application, master's or PhD. We're talking today about resumes, and I'm going to entirely focus on how you can create an impactful and concise, crisp resume for your application specifically. We will be taking questions, so we'll definitely have a Q&A session at the end. For now, just put your questions in the Q&A section. And at the end of the session, I will be taking questions for sure. If we still have about 2 minutes till we wait for some more participants to join in. So go ahead, grab a pen, grab a notebook. So you may want to make some notes, create some mind maps for yourself so you remember a lot of what is discussed. And also, I encourage each one of you to take screenshots of the webinar slides if you like. I'm happy to share with you this information, and what I will be talking will not be always reflected on the screen. So go ahead and take screenshots of information that you feel like you want to retain and revisit again at a later date. Thank you for joining us, for people who've just logged in. We're just going to wait for 2 more minutes, get some more people to log in, and then we are going to start the session on creating an effective resume for your master's and PhD applications. While we wait, I'd love to know who are the people who attended my session last Saturday as well. Anybody who's coming here for the second time, seeing me for the second time in the last 8 days, give me a shout in the Q&A section, and I'd love to say hi to you. Hi, Joshua. Yes, we had quite a lot of discussion last Saturday. Nice to see you back. Hi, Ananya. Nice to see you. Hi, Hajra. Nice to see you today. Hi, Siddhant. Long time no see. Nice to see you here as well. Hi, Suchitra. Thanks for joining in again. Saturdays are so precious for some of us. So I kind of really appreciate you guys taking out this time, spending time with the red pen and truly understanding these components. I'm very, very confident that each one of you is going to walk away having a new perspective about your profile and about your resume. So I can't wait to get this session started. My team is telling me 1 more minute and then we can start. So I'm just going to wait for just 1 more minute exactly. Go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A section, and I will be doing. I will be taking a Q&A section at the end. Get each one of you a chance to ask me questions about your specific resume. Suchitra, fantastic! Really good to see you super engaged in your child's educational journey ahead for a master's. So welcome. The recordings will be available on YouTube, so you can always share it with your child later. Thank you, Dharini. Thank you for your kind words. I can't wait to discuss the resumes with you guys today. So let's get started, right? A bit boring, but I got to do this. For all new participants, I want to let you know that we are the Red Pen, and the Red Pen is an educational counseling service based out of Mumbai, but we have consultants all over the world. I myself do not live in Mumbai anymore, but we come to you presenting the most updated, the most unbiased, and the most objective educational thought leadership that we possibly can. And of course, through our webinars, we're able to give it to you for free. And I think that's the most exciting part about these sessions, that if we can empower each one of you to go ahead and just do your applications on your own, then that would be like the proudest thing for us. We will be doing an extension of this series. I'm doing a subject-specific series 2 weekends from now. So definitely log in for that if that's of interest. But today, we're going to spend time talking to you about resumes. And I have an agenda. I have an agenda because I want to make sure that each one of you stay till the end, because we are going to do an exercise. We are going to get together, put our minds together and see whatever I'm talking to you in the first few slides. Have you really been able to understand it conceptually and be able to apply it to your own resume? So what is a resume? For people who attended last time, you remember me telling you it's a single page snapshot. An admissions team at any university in the world will not spend more than 10 seconds just reading your resume, because typically a time that they spend on one application is between 15 to 20 minutes max, right? And your essays are compelling, and they want to look at your transcripts, they want to make sure they understand your entire story. So how much time are they spending on the very first document that they're going to take a look at? 8 to 10 seconds. Now, in 8 to 10 seconds, for anybody here who has less than 10 years of work experience, right, your entire narrative needs to be in a one page. Purnima, please put your questions in the Q&A box and I will definitely respond to you at the end of the session. Your narrative needs to be only one page long, one side of an A4 sheet, okay? I have some applicants asking you, can we do 2 sides? No, you cannot. One side, and it should look pleasant to the eye, right? Because a lot of them are not printing it out now, they're reading it digitally. So they have to be PDF versions, but they have to be pleasant to the reader's eye. And they have to bring out some nuances of your profile that truly make you stand out in that application pool. And that's what we're going to discuss today. So, this resume format that we are talking about would typically apply to anybody who doesn't have a lot of work experience. If you're considering an MBA, you might want to move some of the sections that I'm discussing with you. But predominantly, if you have even if like 3 to 4 years work experience, then this is good enough. And you can go ahead and use this template. Now, I am going to get started on the template. But before that, I want to tell you that, in the last 17 years that I've been working on postgraduate applications and supporting students with postgraduate applications, what I have done is that I have seen some of the resumes that leading universities abroad have released. Some business schools or some social science schools like School of Education and things, they give you sometimes resume templates because they don't like to see a lot of variation in the templates that come to them. So what I've been doing every year is, I keep myself updated with those templates that come out, whether Yale University releases it or London Business School or IE Business School gives us a template. And I've kind of figured out what are the common topics that they have, what are the common headings that they have. So we kind of put that together, right? You can have any topic that you want, any heading on your resume that you want to highlight for yourself. And we'll discuss that in a bit. So the first section, because you're looking at a master's or a PhD, you are putting yourself forward as a student, right? So do not use the resume that you gave for your last job or internship application, right? That's not going to fly. You want to make sure that your education section is right on top, okay? Now look at the way I have designed this section. The dates are right aligned, right? You start with your undergraduate institution and the name of the university. If it's just name of the university, then just start with that. There are some colleges that might want to, that have an affiliation to a university, so you might want to mention both. But if that's not the case, right? If you're from Christ University, Bangalore, then it's just Christ University, Bangalore. But if you're from St. Stephen's College, New Delhi, then you want to write St. Stephen's College, Delhi University, right? So then you write the specialization that you're doing. So you're doing a bachelor's in finance, or are you doing a bachelor's of science specialization finance, bachelor's of commerce, or bachelor's of commerce specialization marketing? You want to make sure that you give a very clear context of what your degree is, what your major is, okay? Then you mentioned core modules. Now, what I mean by core modules are the modules that you study towards your major, which is not always applicable to Indian universities. So, for example, if you are at St. Stephen's and your core module, well, you're just studying economics for 3 years, or you're at LSR and you're just studying psychology for 3 years, your core modules are predominantly the most advanced courses that you're going to be doing for those 3 years or those 4 years, right? So you want to make sure that you mention those. On the other hand, if you're doing a bachelor's of engineering in computer science, right, and you're applying for a master's in computer science, so you want to make sure that, and you're applying for a master's in computer science with a little bit of a focus on, say, AI, right, and you have done over the last 4 years modules which relate to artificial intelligence and machine learning that you want to highlight, put those as core modules, right? Align them to your narrative, because there is no really set format of a core module. Your transcript is just going to have all the modules. So pick up 4. Max 5, not more than that. But pick up those subjects, exact name, introduction to artificial intelligence or artificial intelligence in the sustainability context or whatever it's called, and just put that as a core module, right? If you were in the dean's list, if you made it to the honors list, if you had a presidential scholarship, mention that. If you're a capstone project, if you're a final graduating project, or you're going to have one, if you're a final research thesis that you submitted, mention that, mention the title of the thesis that you're working on, or if you worked on in the past, right? Now, other academic qualification and honors is not 11, 12 standard, and it's not 9th and 10th standard, guys, okay? You're all now college students and beyond. nothing before first year matters. You got a 45 on 45 in your IB, fantastic. You got a 99% in your ISC, superb, but that's done. Okay. Only mention every other academic qualification from first year onwards. So I am a Bachelor of Commerce student from HR College, Mumbai University, and I am also doing CA. This is where the CA qualification needs to come from. Okay. I am a student who's doing CFA, mention CFA. I am doing 3 courses in artificial intelligence on Coursera, which are certified. I'm not auditing it. By auditing a course means you're just studying the course, you're not really earning a certificate in it. But if you're getting a certification in it, it's an online certification that you're earning by an accredited institution, not something that's a Coursera design course, right? But it's offered maybe on a Coursera platform, but by an accredited institution like University of Leeds or University of Nottingham or Harvard University, whatever. So if it is a certified program that you are doing and you're not just auditing it, put it down. If you are currently auditing and you feel like I'm eventually going to get certified in it, I'm going to take it up as a certification, then mention auditing. Do not mention it as a certification because you haven't gotten it yet. That's incorrect information. Okay. But this is the section where you mention all of those things. Okay. You can mention honors that you've gotten, which are academic related. Please don't mention Rotaract Club secretary here. This is not the section for that. Okay. Now, I've also given you an example, right? A typical student at St. Xavier's College, University of Mumbai, Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. This person could have also written Bachelor of Arts Specialization Psychology or major in Psychology, 3.2 upon 4.0 GPA, core module, Developmental Psychology, Organizational Behavior, Abnormal Psychology. Okay, this is what they wanted to highlight. The Dean's List, right? Ranked first among 240 students in year 2. All right, so this is what they want to highlight, that they made it to the Dean's List and that they ranked first among 240 students in year 2, in the second year of college. And then they also have Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the ICAI, ranked 8 at the foundation course examination. If you just say cleared CA level 1, right? I may understand it because I work with CAs year in, year out. Other CAs might understand that. The Deloitte recruiter might understand it because he's from India, he's recruiting CAs all the time. But do you think an admission officer sitting in the United Kingdom will understand it? Even it's from a leading university that constantly looks at these kind of documents. No. You want to make sure that you use full names of institutions, associations, and degrees. And you can always put the abbreviation or the acronyms in brackets. Please do not assume that people understand what you mean when you write DU and MU or a CA, because nobody knows that. Okay, so please be very clear in the way you present your education section. Please give a lot of context. Okay, now the next section we come to is work experience and internships. When we look at the work experience and internship section, what I want to point out to you here is that in India, we call it full-time work, part-time work, right? Internationally, it is assumed that if you're working in the summer, it's pretty much a full-time engagement, right? Or if it's an internship, you're probably doing it while you're a student, right? So you can go ahead and call this section something different, right? If you don't have work experience and internship, just call it work experience, right? If you only have part-time work experiences and they are actually internships, then just call this section internship. If you have part-time experience and you want to just call it part-time work experience, that's fine. Right? You do not have to focus so much on about, well, does this truly represent what I did? You just make sure globally what you are putting as a heading is something that anybody could understand as it being exactly what it is. Right? If you already graduated and you're calling yourself an intern, it's really hard to understand that connection. Right? So you may want to go back to your recruiter and understand that, okay, my title is of an intern, but I'm working with you full time, right? So then it's full time. So then it's just work experience and your title is of a full-time intern, right? So which will come in the title or position held section, right? So it's still work experience and then full-time intern, right? So you write the name of the company and you write the location, right? And then you talk a little bit about the title or position held, right? And then you spend time talking about what you have done for the company. Please do not use your bullet points telling me what Edelweiss does. Hyperlink Edelweiss if you think that people will not know what the company is, right? link it to the website. So I have an opportunity as a reader of your document to click on a hyperlink and see where it is that you're working and what do they do. But instead, just write one sentence about the company, leave it at that, right? And that sentence that you create about the company has to give me as a reader enough context to understand either the depth or the breadth of the work, right? Purnima, I think there might be something stuck on your side of the line because you keep raising your hand. So I think maybe a button is stuck or you're clicking something that's not supposed to be clicked. Sorry, going back. That one sentence about the company must convey to me as your reader, who's a layman. I do not know anything about financial services. Okay. What is the breadth and depth of the team or the company that you worked with? Okay. Look at the sentence we've written for you. Diversified financial services company, not financial company working across X, Y, Z verticals. That's taking too much place. It's a one-page document, concise, crisp. A diversified financial services company with a market cap of $4 billion, okay, and 10,000 plus employees across 450 offices globally. You could also just give context of the Indian market space or just the Indian revenue numbers, and that's fine. As long as that information is in the public domain, you can put it in here. Okay. Make sure that you're consistent with what you're doing, right? If you're using dollars here, the rest of your document, whenever you're talking about numbers, use US dollars. If you're using INR, use INR. If you're using Great Britain pound GBP, use GBP. Just be consistent in what you're using, right? That's another very good point to remember. So quantify it. You could potentially just talk about 4 billion market cap, or you could just mention the number of employees to give them a size of the idea of the team, right? Like, okay, the team is so large and she was one of the full-time employees there, or he was one of the full-time employees there. Then you're only talking about the skills that you learned and you used and the impact that you were able to create, right? Conducted detailed business, financial, and peer analysis to arrive at the fair valuation of clients. Okay, conducted detailed business and peer analysis. So then what happened? You just created it and then what? Right? You arrived at a fair valuation of the clients for clients. Okay, take it to its impact end, right? Make sure that you start everything with a verb. Okay, it could be conducting, it could be conducted. Please do not start with I led. I was assisting in conceptualizing and creating financial models. You assisted in conceptualizing and creating financial models, right? You could also say co-assisted. You could also say co-authored, co-led. Those are fine. But make sure you always start with an action verb in the past tense, or if it's currently going on, present tense, right? Your tasks must be specific to the skills you've developed or you are using, even technical skills, using Python, using linear algebra, using financial modeling tools, right? Using CRM tools. You have to use your tools. You have to show me that you know these technical skills. Don't tell me in a later section, technical skills, Microsoft, PowerPoint, Python, R++. Okay, so you run certifications in there. So what am I going to do with that if you've never practiced that? How are you going to really be impactful and successful, right? But instead, if you put them here in this section, right? Conducted detailed business analysis using financial modeling tools. You're telling me that you have the confidence to use financial modeling tools, right? Such as MATLAB. Oh, perfect. This person knows MATLAB, which is a software tool, right? So this section is where you bring those skills. Honestly, if by the time you reach to the end of your resume and you actually want a section that says, okay, I know these other three technical skills, but I haven't really used them anywhere. Do you really want to be telling an admission team about it? Like, I have skills which I've never used. Yeah, think about it. Also, you guys are all studying or have studied in amazing, fully English born, brought up college setups, right? In the Indian education system is quite strong. Let's assume you know Microsoft Word. Let's assume you all know Excel. Let's assume we all know PowerPoint. Okay, let's not spend our valuable word count and space to say things that are obvious, right? If you are applying, let's assume you take this resume draft and you want to apply for a UPSC, which is like our Indian Administrative Services intern role in Bihar, in Darbhanga, Bihar. Okay, and that role demands that you speak English. Then you can mention English as a language. Okay. But if you are coming from a background which is entirely English, you spend all your 16 years of education, 15 years of education in English, you work in an English environment in Edelweiss, which is an MNC across global offices, all of that, I know you speak English. Your transcript tells me that. Your IELTS score will tell me, your TOEFL will tell me you speak English. Please don't mention that as a language that you know. Right? Let's just now move beyond those things, which in 1955 were very important for Indians to declare. But the 2022 Indian doesn't need to tell the world that they speak English. We don't need to go out and prove it constantly. Okay, those are things to stay away from. Yeah, but I digress. Coming back to the work experience and internship section. Any skills that you have, technical skills that you are proud of and you have developed, please make sure that they are used in these points. Okay. The last section of my resume, okay, is interests and achievements, and I've kind of clubbed it together. Now, this is where I pause and I tell each one of you that you start with this basic template first. If you realize that, you know what, I actually have a really strong research background, and I'm not talking about PhD applicants right now, because if there are any, please leave me a message and I'll do a CV conversation with you at the end quickly. Anyway, if you have like 3 research papers that you've done through college, right? If you've done 1, it comes under the education section and that's done. But you've done 3 more, you can have a section under education called research projects or research work, right? If you've done a lot of self-initiated projects, you know, you work on a marketing campaign for your aunt's cookie business, right? Or you did a project for the Rotaract Club, right? And you've done like 5, 6 of these self-initiated projects, which are not really internships. You've done them, you've gone out, you've seeked those opportunities. Put them in another section under education, between internship and education, called self-initiated projects. You decide what impact your resume has and make sure I, as a reader, read it. You get to decide. That's a resume. Which is why anybody here who's got from 0 to say 5 years work experience, don't go on the internet and find a resume template which applies to somebody who has 10 years of work ex or 12 years of work ex or 15 years of work ex. Don't do it. It's not going to work in your favor. Create your own template, right? Go ahead and create the sections that you want to draw my attention to as a reader. That 10 seconds I'm spending, I actually ensure that I'm reading this section because this is unique. You know, not typically sections have self-initiated project, right? There are some applicants I work with who have their own ventures, right? They've actually started businesses during COVID. A lot of people did that, right? Go ahead and create a, self-initiated entrepreneurship or self-initiated venture. Don't put it under work experience. You can if you wish to, but maybe you have other internships, right? So you want to put internship and you want to put self-initiated venture. And that's fine, right? During COVID, another amazing section that took off for a lot of applicants we worked with was the community engagement. It's not social service, right? If you have enough, make it a separate section called community engagement or community work. But if it's 1 or 2 points, you can put it in interest and achievement and club it together with your sports and your dance and everything else that you do. At least as a reader, I have a really nice, clean document with 3 clear sections, right? Education, work experience, whatever it may be, and interests and achievements. Interest could be one, achievements could be one, interest could be another. That's fine, right? So go ahead and create that flow for yourself. Each one, that's where you will stand out. That's where your resume will be unique, right? Again, name of your activity, and then 1 sentence of the club. But if it doesn't really, the club doesn't really matter, it was just a one-time thing that you did, then just go ahead and write what you did with a past tense verb. Taught mathematics to 5 students in grade 3 at Gandhigram Municipal School or at a local municipality school in Mumbai. That's good enough. Organized 2 blood donation camps. And then what happened? Raised 35,000 rupees through the sale of second-hand books. right? So you want to make sure that you give context, right? And if that's the one thing that I can tell you guys to notice as a trend in the 3 sections that I've already shown you all, is that there is quantification of everything. You have to think really hard and try and quantify your work so that it can show impact within the 10 seconds that I'm spending reading your document. It should give me context. It should show me impact. Okay. This person played soccer, was a captain, may have played in 8th, 9th, 10th also, but led the college team and won whatever club among 12 competing teams, 2016 to 2018, not 2010 to 2018. Unless, I think as a rule of the thumb, unless you have represented India in the Olympics or at the district or the state or the national level, like you've done things, not district and state, sorry, at the international level, you've represented India, right? When you were in high school, and you don't do it anymore because you're not in the age group, then okay, fine, maybe there is a place for your achievement because you've represented the country. But if you don't have the representation of the country from any parameter, then nothing from high school matters. Okay, I cannot emphasize that enough. Okay, now the language section is always last because we are bilingual, trilingual, sometimes quadrilingual. Not the whole world is. So it's something that we can be proud of and put in our resumes. Of course, place withstanding, right? If there isn't enough place in your resume for languages, I think that's a section that can just completely go out, unless you're applying for a job in the Spanish market, right? Or you're applying for a job, or you're applying for a course in Spain, right? And you want to mention conversant in Spanish or proficient in Spanish or level B2 in Spanish or German or whatever, right? But besides that, right, imagine if your resume language section has fluent in Tamil, Bengali, Marathi, Punjabi, and Gujarati. 90% of the world doesn't even know that we have these are languages in India, right? Let's save that space. You can say fluent in 7 regional languages across India. That's an impactful number. If you're fluent in 3, decide for yourself if 3 is an impactful number, and if it is and you have place, put it. If you think it's impactful but there's no place, don't put it. If there is place but it's not impactful, don't put it. You rather submit 3/4 of one side of an A4 sheet of a resume, which is impact, than 1 full page of filler. Because remember, 8 to 10 seconds. That's it. Okay. Your resume should go beyond 1 page when you're on your 10th year of work. And now you're like, okay, now, maybe there is place for me to kind of write things which are recent, but also relevant. Otherwise, recency takes precedence. Okay. Just to give you an example, right? Suppose I was a part of a college soccer team from 1st year, 2nd year, and 3rd year I became captain, right? Am I going to spend 2 points talking about it? No. Right? If I'm a captain of the team for 1 year, right? So what you can do is you can write, you don't write captain there, you write football, sports, 2016 to 2019 or whatever, 3 years, and you say, played as a part of the intercollegiate team and captained the team towards winning the XYZ Cup among 12 competing teams. You're telling me you're captain and you're telling me that you played for the team in one sentence, in one shot. Right? So even when you're doing internships, in 1st year, you did an internship. In the 2nd year, you did an internship, but that was at a higher level of what you did. And you are really struggling for place in your resume. That first internship can go away. Right? And you can talk about the higher level skills. So the first internship will just be like 1 sentence that you did it, so that there is scope to see that, okay, over the summer you were working, but all the skills that you're talking about is more recent. Right? So those are some of the strategies that you will have to use if your resume ends up being super long. Let the first draft be as long as you want it to be. Then remove everything from 1st year back, right? And then look at what impact you want to showcase, and then see where you have enough content to show that impact, right? So that would be about this section. And then we move on from here. And I'm finally telling you the technical do's and don'ts of your resume. Please go ahead, take a screenshot, keep it with you, stick it up on your cupboard, make sure it's there as a desktop wallpaper, just so that you ensure that you follow these to the T. Okay. Your photograph, your address are not things that people need in your resume, even if you're applying for jobs in India. And unless the job role specifically states that candidate closer to office location preferred, why would anybody want to know your address? And then why would an admission officer want to know your address? Anyway, you're going to fill all of that up in the form, right? For a lot of you who are coming from a creative background, design technology, or architecture, marketing, sometimes we see amazingly, beautifully creative resumes. Unfortunately, there's no place for that. Not in the application pool. You want to give them a boring one-page template and use all your creativity for your portfolio. Use it for the writing samples, use it for the visuals, portfolio samples that you're going to submit. Your resume is not a place for that level of creativity. If you have the skills, then through those resume points, let us know that you have the skills to, use Adobe and all of those tools, but don't do it on a Canva or something, because it really is distracting and it just breaks the flow of the reader who's doing it and has a maybe like 35 more to go before they call it a day, right? So just make sure that you're being a little more professional, a little more conventional about your resume. I think it'll just work in your favor, right? Now, double check exact names of institutions. Is it University of Mumbai or Mumbai University? I'd love for somebody to answer that on the chat. Is it Harvard University or University of Harvard? Is it Oxford University or University of Oxford? People make such basic mistakes sometimes in the resumes. But you want to make sure that you're consistent, okay? Another key takeaway is follow reverse chronological order. Recency takes precedence. You will do an internship that you did most recently, and then you will go back to your first year internship. You will not put it in chronological order. You will do it in reverse chronological order. Okay? Spell check your document. Counseling can be single L or double L. Doesn't matter, but be consistent. If you use single L somewhere, use single L everywhere. If you use double L somewhere, use double L. Using British English or American English, decide and use consistently, right? If you're sending a British English resume to the US, they're not going to think that you don't know how to spell. Honestly, it's not going to happen. But if you just want to be doubly sure, create 2 resume drafts. Send one to the US campuses, send one to the UK campuses with their spellings. That's fine. Your resume should be revisited every 3 to 4 months, right? And in those 3 to 4 months, keep a note of all the activities and all the skills that you're learning. Simply because you want to put it in your resume and then remove things that don't matter anymore and update your resume. In fact, I'm going to go a step ahead and tell you that you can have different versions of your resume for different purposes. It's not like one resume goes everywhere. You have one resume for a strategic marketing internship opportunity that's coming your way. You have another one to give the red pen because they're going to start working with you on your applications. You have a third version that you want to probably give to Edelweiss because you're applying for financial consulting internship there. You want to have 3 resumes with showcasing 3 different areas of impact. Why not? Most of us professionals have different versions of a resume, right? So I am a counseling psychologist and I'm also heading the postgraduate services at the Red Pen. Say another opportunity comes my way where I want to apply for a job at a consulting firm in Europe, right? And the role is of a manager, right? The head of the consulting services there. I'm going to talk a lot about my managerial skill sets and I'm going to talk a lot about how I led my team and mentored my team and the revenue and all of that. But if I have a role of applying to a school or a high school as a college counselor or to a college in India, liberal arts college calls me and says, oh, Tripti, we love the fact that you're such an amazing counselor. Why don't you apply for a position of being an in-house counselor? And I'm like, okay, maybe it's time for me to do that. I'm going to talk a lot about my counseling skills. And that's my focus. I'm going to talk about my managerial skills, but that's not going to be the focus. So you have to make sure that you have versions of your resume, right? And you want to make sure that you put your best foot forward based on what you are sending the resume for. All right. Again, one slide that deserves a quick picture. Big shout out to our team who's done help me with the visuals. I think these visuals are amazing. So yeah, use your official email address, right? But even if you don't have a college address and you're using Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail, make sure it's not funkypanda@gmail.com, right? Or it's not adventureseeker@yahoo.com. Make sure that you created an official one, a professional one with your name, tripti.singh, t.singh or tripti.s or whatever. And then, you make sure that it's a little more professional when you're presenting it out to the world. there is a fine line between overselling and highlighting traits, right? And I think that's somewhere where experts come in, where a team like the Red Pen could help you understand. So, which is also a good point for you to give it to somebody else to review. It doesn't sound like you're overselling yourself. Everything which is recent matters, quantify your outcomes, and of course, the content is key and content is king. And make sure that your content is impactful and compelling, right? Okay. Now I'm doing a quick round with everybody, trying to help you understand some of the things that we spoke about, and then we will do an interactive session after that as well. Now, this is somebody from Mumbai, a university in Mumbai, and they've given us that they have a degree called Bachelor of Business Administration, core module, specialization in marketing, and then they've also given their 12th grades, and then they've also written their summer school, which is a good idea, right? Except it's not very well aligned, right? But also another thing is, you don't really need to underline things and bold things, and because that means that you only want me to focus on those bold things, right? And what about the other content? Is that just like filler, right? So, you want to stay away from those things, and this person has done that. This person has kind of stayed away from putting things that just draw my attention to one part of it, but leave the other parts unread. But the person has used color instead. And, again, that's not a good practice. You want to make sure that everything is simple to read. Also, remember, a lot of universities have resume readers, right? So what they do is basically the entire application that you upload gets downloaded into a funnel, if you can imagine that, and then it goes into an account of theirs, like an entire software of theirs, right? So, you want to make sure that your resume, in terms of the formatting and in terms of the way it's presented, kind of moves through that funnel well. And when the person is reading it on the other end through that portal, through that platform, has an easier experience of doing that. So a lot of color and a lot of pictures might get pixelated, things like that. So you don't want to do all of that. So refrain from doing all of that, right? But also be consistent, right? Like, for example, this person, additional skills and achievements is capitalized. Research and marketing intern is non-capitalized, and just looking, not well placed, right? Using an address on top. If you're applying for international universities, they don't really care whether you're living in Andheri, whether you're living in Colaba, you're living in Noida, right? For them, that's not important. And in the form, you tell them which city you belong to, tier 1, tier 2, whatever. You can do away with the phone number also now, because honestly, your LinkedIn link right now and who you are on LinkedIn is far more important than your phone number. And again, the form has an option for phone number. So you want to make sure that you leave that there. So again, address. Look at the formatting of the date, right? It's just not aligned. And that's not a good reading experience, right? Core modules included marketing. You don't need that word. You don't need included, right? You want to make a concise, crisp document. Just don't use filler words. Marketing is capital. It's not supposed to be, unless it's the exact name of the core module. Literally on your transcript, it will say marketing. It will not, right? It will probably say introduction to marketing or strategic marketing. In which case, if you're using the proper noun, strategic marketing, SM capital, okay. But if you're using marketing as a concept, only languages are capital. English, Hindi, Spanish. These concepts are not supposed to be capital. Just because you think you're doing financial accounting and it's the most coolest thing in the world, doesn't mean you'll put it in capital, right? So marketing, human, so be consistent, right? And be accurate in that sense. Dates, like I said, not aligned. The off is capital for some reason of SEC6, Indian certificate off, not needed. Also, this whole volume section is only not needed, to be honest. This is great, right? But again, the dates are not aligned. Internships, I would have liked her to, or him, whatever, to link Aditya Birla to the website. Talent management and development intern, again, M is small and D is big. Not, there's no consistency. Talent acquisition project in human resources. What does that mean? Do you know what it means? I don't know what it means. What did you do? Where's your impact? Right? Carried out marketing and branding for various learning and development programs. Various means what? Is it varied in the concept? Is it various as you're using it as a placeholder for numbers? Is it across sectors? I don't understand what various is. Give me context. Tell me 6 learning and development programs, so quantify it, or tell me across various sectors about learning and development programs or something. Give me context, right? Don't just leave filler words there for me to figure out what you did, right? Attended the Great People Manager program. Again, see, G is capital, P is small, manager. If it's a proper noun, this was a title. But apparently, if this was the title, then, shouldn't all of this be capital? And then conversations that count is being double quoted, but this is it. So there is inconsistency there. I don't understand what you're telling me here, right? You're using grammar tools, but you're not using them effectively or accurately, to be honest, right? And you attended this. So then what happened? You sat there for a whole day, you schmoozed with them, you did networking. And what did you do, right? Networked with senior leadership at 2 occasions or 2 managerial development programs. Then we don't need the names of them. Right? You're telling me that you network with your senior leadership. That was your impact. Like that was a part of what that activity was. It was not that you attended these 2 amazing programs that apparently everybody should know about just because Aditya Birla was hosting it. Right? So you have to think through each point that you put in your resume and how it comes across to the reader. Right? As an intern, I worked on following during the internship. We've already discussed this. This is not the style of writing. This is not what you need to do in a resume. Additional skills and achievement, community service, right? Again, it's colored. The internship details, it's colored. That's why it's been highlighted, right? Integral member of the Education and Sports Development Association with the capacity of a joint secretary. IAYP, Young People's Award, Social Responsibility Forum, and then all of this is in college, and then Indo-Canadian Cancer Foundation in school, which obviously there's no place for. Right, now let's go to a sample with work experience. All right, tables, big no-no. If you are someone who's not very well versed with Word and you decide to use a table just to get sanity about your alignment, hide the table at the end. So you can just see the content. CFA level 2, CFA Institute. Cleared the first attempt. Okay. CA final, both groups. Institute of Chartered Accountancy. So basically you're telling me that you did CFA level 1 in 2015 and then you did your CA final in 2016 and then you done CFA level 2 and then you're spending so much telling me that you cleared level 1 and you cleared level 2. Can you not pull it together is my first question. So at least you help me understand that you've done CFA and CA. Right? And then also if you don't use the acronyms, then maybe I'll get there faster. It's taking me time also to think about it. Right? Again, 10th, 12th, not needed. Work experience, assistant manager, valuation, financial advisory, played a key role in the merger of India's land. That's a good point, right? That would make sense. Worked as an article trainee under Anil Ashok and Associates, assisted at vocab wizards, but the dates are misaligned. They cannot be on the left. They need to be on the right. I need to be able to get a clear image of what your professional trajectory has been, what your educational trajectory has been, right? I should be able to pick up any gaps immediately if they exist, right? Entrepreneurial ventures, okay, person has created another subsection for themselves. Of course, it's a 2-pager, and which was the earlier one as well. It was a 2-pager, which is absolute no-no, right? This person has also divided achievements and leadership roles separately, which are great, placeholders to have as subheadings, but you want to make sure that the roles actually align. For example, head girl should not be here. Selected as departmental executive marketing department Rotaract Club. Liaise with corporations. So this could completely be one sentence in itself. So there are a lot of scope for this to kind of improve, right? And for us to be able to guide this person on how this data is coming across, right? This is not looking like a well-presented resume to me at all. And there's obviously a lot of place for this resume to get better, right? Responsible for all discipline, communication, and smooth functioning of all school events, represented the school at various national and international forums. Does this sound exciting to you? Does it sound like this person is super impactful as elected head girl? So, there is scope to make this resume more impactful with some of these points, but of course, head girl will not come in at all. Okay, now this is one thing that I highlighted because anything below 10, including the number 10, must be in words. That's just a global practice. So ONE, TWO, TEN, NINE. Anything 11 onwards, you can put in numeric form, right? But just try and be a little consistent with these things. It just looks professional, it looks good, it looks well represented because it's something that just is like understood informally in the world that this is how you represent good written communication. Assisted in valuing one of the world's largest healthcare companies' animal healthcare business that was being swapped for another company's consumer healthcare business. I don't understand this. I don't understand this point at all, right? I would definitely speak to this applicant and say, okay, can you please explain to me what you did? What do you mean by assisted in valuing? What were the skills you developed? What was the impact you had? Was this important that there was a merger? Is this merger very, very amazing? Then can we talk about what was the unique part of this merger versus, and also don't make grammatical errors. Won the Green Dot Award for Outstanding Teamwork in September 2017, right? So again, date can be aligned. Doesn't need to go with just here, somewhere hidden here in the middle, right? This was a good thing, of course, that the person gave some quantification of the project that happened. Look at the language here, co-founded something and have been roping in clients. Is that professional language? So that's something that we can actually take note of, okay? Have been investing in the Indian equity market. That's such an amazing activity to have. But this is, you're hiding it here like this and you're just putting it in bold here, right? Diploma in Bharatanatyam investing. Literally, that's what she's bolded here or he's bolded here, right? So we want to make sure that this is something that we kind of point out that, okay, this is something fantastic that can actually be a great impact point by itself. And actually, you don't have place for anything else and that's fine, right? Okay, time to do an exercise together. I hope you all have been making notes so that we can go ahead and do this exercise together. And depending on how much time we have, we may either open up the floor so that everybody can ask questions directly, or we might just still go to the Q&A format. Depends on the time, my team will tell me. Let's move on to the activity on the exercise front, okay? I'm looking for feedback on this resume. People, can you just put it in the chat box? I will do your question, but for now, go ahead and put in for me, what are some of the changes in this resume according to you? I mean, if some of you will keen observers, you will notice that we've taken those resumes from what we just showed you and then actually created a one-pager with this applicant. But go ahead and tell me some of the changes that you noticed right away. Utkarsha has a point. Bradley, can we put Utkarsha on unmute? Since she's raised her hand, let's get her a chance. Hi, Utkarsha.
Hello, ma'am. I just wanted to say that my chat option is disabled, so I can't put anything in my chat.
No worries, tell me. So do you have anything to say about the resume?
Yes, definitely. First of all, I would like to say that the font on the resume is very small. Like I would like to make it more concise so that it is easily viewable. And like use shorter sentences to do everything. Also in the initial this academic snapshot, I would like to make it a little more I don't know how do I say it. Like it is in a tabular format, right? So
a better formatted, you mean? The format should be better.
Exactly.
It's hard to understand what the person has done.
Yes. So that was my two cents.
That's perfect. I think you're absolutely right. From a font perspective, do not go below 9, because remember, a lot of people are also reading this online. They're reading it digitally. They're not really taking printouts, and you don't want them to be squinting their eyes and reading, what is this person written? So make sure 12 to 10 is a good range for you to look at, right? Your resume of a one page should be between 10 to 12. All right. Some other people have raised hands. Let's give somebody else a chance as well. Siddhant, maybe you want to go next. Siddhant Dastoor, Bradley. Yes, Siddhant. Hi.
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The resume just went. It's gone to another slide.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to go back. Okay.
Yes. So starting from the first thing, he's put first name, last name on the top and on the bottom. I don't think we do that in a resume.
Absolutely. We do not use your details in the footer. There's no need. You're just wasting space and distracting me from the content.
Yes, and in interest and achievements, he's put his 10 standard achievements. We
Exactly.
do as well.
Yep, absolutely.
There are quite a lot of these things that he's done, where he's used his pre-college achievements, which will need third.
Yes, yes. Also, I mean, great point, Siddhant. Thank you. Also, when this person writes head of department for college festivals, communication management department, led how many people? You know, what skill did you use there? What impact did you create there? That's a great point to put ahead. And then instead of having 15 interests and achievements, have 3, but have 3 really impactful ones, and that would be amazing, right? Okay. And somebody else who raised their hand? Thank you, Siddharth. Anybody else? Hajra? Yes, Hajra. Hi.
Hi, Tripti. So the one thing I noticed was the lack of consistency in formatting on the right side with the dates.
Yes.
And even overall. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You know, when we're looking at dates, you can use full June, full July, full August, whatever. But if you just use 3 letters, you'll get consistency. And everybody understands JN is January, right? And also the dash in the middle.
Yeah, the
right?
dash. Yeah.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that your spacing is accurate. If you've left a place between your dash and the present, then leave it consistently. Be consistent. Hajra, great pick. Thank you for that. I'm also, you know, very concerned about this person's formatting from the perspective of like the first person Utkarsha pointed out. Look at the academic snapshot. First of all, is that the accurate word to use as a heading? Right? Academic summary. Okay, I understand. Right? If you don't want to write educational experience, you write academic summary. But academic snapshot seems a bit too casual for me. Maybe I'm old school. I don't know. Right? This person also, you know, goes around and putting dates on one side, and then the dates come like Hajra pointed out. But then there is a grade section, you know, and then the institution is in the middle. And then somewhere CFA is on top, and then ICAI is in the middle, but your actual undergraduate, which shows that you have the eligibility to apply for a master's degree, is below. So, you know, you want to make sure that if they put it out in sentences, right, and then you can have chronological order, at least it will attract attention to the right points of your educational section. And that will become important. All right. So we'll go on, and I hope everybody's kind of spent some time on this document and kind of figured out that, okay, these are some of the changes that maybe I've also made the same mistakes in my resume. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to work on them. You know, besides the resume, there are other things that you need to focus on. And now is a good time. And I think that's why I've plugged in this slide, is to let you know that you guys are sitting in June. And if you're looking at fall 23 admit, whether to Canada, Singapore, UK, Australia, Hong Kong, Europe, you know, you want to make sure that your resume is the first thing out of the door. Why? Because you will be attending webinars of some of your dream colleges or your target colleges. You want to make sure that after that you have a resume to send to the admission officer when you're thanking them and asking them further questions. You want to make sure that your resume is in a good space. If you're asking for eligibility, 16-year program, 15-year, am I eligible? Do I qualify? You have a resume to send them a quick snapshot of what your profile is. So then they decide whether they encourage you to apply or not. You know, some universities are subjective like that. So June, July, good time to get your resume done, ready, your college shortlist ready, your essay edits, country course selections. These are some of the things that we help with. But this is a good time for everybody to start on that. If fall 2023 is what you're looking at, you should have started 2 months ago if you're looking at spring 23. But it's never too late. Go ahead and start working on your application systematically. You'll get there, right? I am going into the Q&A section now. Oh, and also something that my team member actually reminded me was that, you know, maybe we could have put the resume template here, which I didn't. So anybody who books this free consultation appointment, whoever you're speaking to, whether it's me on the call or it's another team member of mine, it could be Bradley, we don't know, but whoever you speak to, tell them or remind them to send you a resume template, and we'd be happy to give it out to you. You know, I've created it, but I'm happy to share it with you. Whoever you speak to on the call, remind that person. It'll be a colleague and say, Tripti asked me to check in with you and remind you to give us a resume template. Okay, let's go on with some of the questions. Suggestion for a master's application in computer science field. Lots of suggestions, but specifically for your resume, follow the format that I have shared with you. Make sure your core modules align with your short-term goals. So he says she has a BA in English honors from Miranda. How do you suggest the courses advanced level on my resume? So you will mention Bachelor of Arts honors degree. You mentioned the word honors there. I mean, I'm assuming that's what you mean by your question. If your question actually is something else, then please ask me again, because maybe I didn't understand it. But you definitely mentioned Bachelor of Arts honors in English. So Siddhant, for your commerce related subjects, Siddhant is basically a BCom student, and he's saying, do I consider my commerce related subjects as my core module, example, financial accounting? Now, Siddhant, that depends, right? Because BCom is a general program. Assuming from a BCom, you're applying for a master's in marketing, right? Then pick up the modules in the last 3 years that have marketing focus on them, and maybe technical skill sets, like maybe you learned linear progression, or you learned analytics or something, and make those 3 or 4 of them your core modules, right? So you're showcasing to the university that, look, I have in my prior undergraduate experience courses that align with what I'm choosing, right? But if you're going in for finance, then pick those instead, financial accounting, modeling, account, whatever, right? So you can align that. You can make that unique for yourself because you have a general BCom degree. Okay, somebody is asking me that in the work experience section, if I have been promoted at a company a few times, then how should I highlight each new position? Here's how I would do it. The red pen, 2007 to 2022, head of postgraduate services. The new functions I have picked up in my newest position come there. Next position, date. So the red pen, overall engagement, position, the exact 1 year that you've been head of postgraduate services, counseling services, whatever, how many ever years you've been there, and then those roles that you served there. Your recent position will only have bullet points that are actually the new skills or the new impact you had. The one that below comes there, okay? And if you find that there is repetition in the roles that you're doing, you will cut short some of those bullet points and eventually showcase a crisp summary of your positions there. Happy to opine on that with you later on a one-on-one if you get in touch with us. The recording of the webinar is available on YouTube after the session is done. It's also live at this moment. Mehnaz, hi. In the WorkX section, if I have been promoted at a company a few times, then how should I highlight each people? Mehnaz, so I hope this was clear for you, but otherwise you already are a red pen student. We've already done sessions together. So send me your resume and I will work on it individually with you personally regardless. Okay. If one has more than 3 or 4 fields of extracurricular accomplishment, would you recommend tapering them? No, I don't recommend tapering them. First, you list it down in your first resume draft. Then look at the recency, look at the impact, look at consistency. If you've done something for a longer time, that takes precedence, right? If you've done all 4 activities for a really, really long time and all are consistently long, right? Then look at your impact point, right? And then if you also feel that, okay, all of them are equally impactful, then under extracurricular engagement, you can put all 4 as 4 bullet points with quantifications on them. So it's all uniform the way you're presenting the data to me, right? Extracurriculars, nothing from school. If you're a Kathak dancer who's been dancing for many years and you have performances to talk about, right? Then you say dance use, okay? You write your most recent 3 performances, right? But the years as dance use can be from 2002 to 2022. So you're telling me that this is something that you've been doing for long term, but your most recent showcase, your most recent impact is what you put as your bullet points under that. And that could be a separate section for you if that's the level of achievement you have in that. Okay, Shrutika has a question. What should we do if we don't have any work experience? Shrutika, that's fine. You switch that section for something else. Education, research engagement, extracurricular engagements, community service, any section that you feel like you want to draw attention to, my attention to as a reader, you go ahead, plug it in. Don't get stressed that, oh, I don't have WorkX, I don't have internships, my resume is not going to be read. That's not true. You decide what section you want instead of work experience and internship. It could be self-initiated projects, and that's fine. I repeat, rather have 3/4 page of a good resume than have a full page of filler. All right. Okay, Swarangi said that in community service, she worked as an NSS volunteer for 2 years. How should it be portrayed and what points should be added? Okay. So, Swarangi, when you are working as an NSS volunteer, right? Did you do it as a part of your school, like, sorry, college? Because some colleges have it as a part of their curriculum that you do NSS, but if not, if it's a club activity, then you just, within that, you can write community service, then you expand on NSS, National Service Scheme, volunteered under the National Service Scheme for 2 years across 6 projects, which included X and Y, including X and Y. You can actually give me 2 very key data points in just a 1 bullet point. Bullet points don't have full stops. Okay. If you feel the need for a full stop, try breaking up your impact into 2 bullet points. Do not create a bullet point with, in fact, I am also very, very picky about having a full stop after a bullet. If it's a bullet, it shouldn't have a full stop. Okay. So, and this is just something that I focus on. Or somebody on top, before I started the questions, had asked that if they can hyperlink the name of the company instead of giving a 1 detailed line. Yes, you can, but remember 8 to 10 seconds. So not all admission officers are going to bother with, clicking on the hyperlink. So definitely hyperlink. But if you just give me a 1 sentence impact of your team or of the company, right, that it just gives me context when I'm reading about what you did next, right? If it's Edelweiss, right, which has 450 offices globally and a team of 10,000 people or whatever, and you're telling me that as a first-year employee there, right, like an analyst, associate analyst, you have led a client project, right, with X impact. You're telling me that you're the rock star at Edelweiss. Okay. But if you tell me you are at Nathuram Chartered Accountancy Firm, right, and the team is of 15 people, and you led a client project, you're telling me that you got a great opportunity to practice your skills. Every context you give me puts your story in perspective for me as a reader, especially as an admission officer who's looking for impact, who's looking for future success. Okay. So Chitra, if you have done a project using MATLAB in Standard 11, okay, at IIT Madras, how about taking that project ahead? Because if you did a project in grade 11 using MATLAB, chances are it's been 4 years since then. You've done something beyond MATLAB also, right? Right? So you want to make sure that you highlight those. The fact that you know MATLAB, right, will be obvious to me if as a faculty member, I'm reading that you know beyond MATLAB. Correct? Joshua says, where should we mention about the webinars and workshops you attended? No, you don't mention webinars and workshops because those are just learnings that you do. If your workshop was like a skill gaining workshop and you got certified for it in the top section with other academic engagements, then that workshop comes in there, right? But if it's a workshop like this webinar that you attend, or you attend a workshop on how to create a good resume, that doesn't really go into your resume. So distinguish between what was the skill you learned in that workshop, and if it was a certifiable workshop, then it goes into the academic section. Nafisa, if I unmute every participant on this video, on this webinar right now, they will answer your question about size of resume and how many pages. Repeat with me, everybody. Single side of a 1 A4 sheet for people less than 10 years of work experience. Everybody repeat after me. Okay? Cannot go above that. Okay. Okay, I think I answered the question about hyperlinking the company. Can we brief in the resume about our numerous projects one by one under our work experience section? You can put your numerous projects under the work experience section. You see which ones after you've listed them out truly have the impact, create the impact points. Then see which ones are actually a step up of what you've already done, then remove those. And then see how many you want to retain from that, right? And what was the impact? Sometimes we want to mention a project because we did it with an amazing company, right? But that doesn't make sense because you're talking more about the company than the fact that what you did and what you learned. So make sure you do that. Also, name dropping in resume is not really needed. For example, you work on Brahmastra media production, right? For Dharma Productions. So you were a media production assistant for Brahmastra, the movie, and you're talking about assisted with the digital campaign for Brahmastra for Dharma Productions. You're name dropping to me, which as an Indian, chalo, I understand. Okay. But it doesn't make any sense to anybody outside of our realm of Bollywood. But if you tell me assisted in the digital campaign for a, well, I don't know, $1 million Bollywood movie, right? Which garnered 50 million views in 7 days. You're giving me context. I don't care what that movie is. You're telling me what impact you were able to create. And that's key. Okay. Yes, chat is disabled. Q&A section is on. Atharva, I had mentioned this earlier. You must mention all your technical skills in your work experience or in your academic projects and research stuff, so that there is actually no section for technical skill sets at the end of it. If you've got the skill, show me you've used it. Don't just tell me you've got it, right? That was something we touched upon earlier. I hope you caught that. Head girl position shouldn't have been mentioned. I agree. Okay, Manasvi says for a law student, she doesn't have a lot of work experience. Manasvi, if you want to understand how you can build your profile towards a competitive LLM degree, you must come to the Red Pen for a counseling session. Unfortunately, I will not be able to address such a specific question for you in a webinar platform. Nafisa, you are a gold medalist at the national level at Regional Lawn Tennis Championship in 2016, and I started my college in 2017. Can I put that in my resume? Sure. Put it in. But Nafisa, if you've done more with tennis, if you just didn't stop after you won that gold medal, and you did camps, or you do coaching, or you even play recreationally, then make a little section around it. Make it your impact point. Vijendra Prabhu, do I have to mention academic percentage score in CV? I have completed engineering. Also, his habits and interests, should I mention? Okay. Vijendra, the first thing I want to clarify, a curriculum vitae is a little different than a resume. Okay. Typically, we use it interchangeably, I'm aware. But remember that a curriculum vitae is a little more technical, and it is a lot more about your research and your publication and your academic engagements. It's a lot more about academia. Typically, PhD applicants will be giving out CVs and resumes. Okay, so it's a little bit of a different format. But I know in India, we use it interchangeably. So I'm just assuming you're talking about a resume. So academic percentage in the resume, yes, you have to give context. You don't want to mention the exact percentage, mention the grade. You don't want to mention the exact grade, mention class, first class, second class. But if it's like 6 years back, 7 years back, and you feel like that's not something that I really want to draw attention to, that's fine. Don't do it then. It'll be in your transcripts any which way when you're applying for international university, you're submitting your transcripts. Don't mention your GRE and GMAT score in the resume, please. That's a big no-no. Habits, no. I like trekking and reading. And honestly, like I said, if those are things that align with why they need to be in your resume, then put them. Okay. This is not a biodata. This is a resume. All right. If you feel like, okay, there is enough place, one sentence I want to write about my interests and activities, do it. But if it's taking up place and it's taking away place from something else that's far more important, just do away with it. Right. Yeah, it's a good thing sometimes to show that you have unique extracurriculars, but then you could have done more with it, right? So if you're talking about hiking, then you have hiked across 3 biggest or tallest peaks in the world, then make it a point worth talking about, right? Trained for, I don't know, 56 hours per year to achieve conquering 3 tallest peaks in the world or something like that, right? Then you're giving me good context to see that, okay, look, this is not just an interest that he does once in a while. This is actually something that he does. It's a very big part of who this person is. That's important. Sai, your summer school comes in the academic engagement section. Remember the sample that I showed, that person also had a Berkeley summer school. So you would also put your summer school in the educational section under your actual degree. Okay, Deepa is asking, how do you initiate a good objective and conclude the summary in a resume? Okay, Deepa, these resumes, and specifically these ones, because they go to international universities, do not really need an objective section. Okay, honestly, if you want to have an objective, use it in your LinkedIn tagline, right? Some work recruitment job opportunities require a cover letter, which I'm a big believer in. If they ask for it, give it. Sometimes they ask for an email body, so in the email, you put the cover letter body and you just attach your resume to it. But this is not a resume where you will have an objective section and a summary section, right? This is not, there's no place in your resume to international universities for that. If you're applying for a job and somebody asks for it, then create a cover letter. Summary and objective don't put. Summary is the tagline in LinkedIn. Use that. Put your LinkedIn link in the header. Your name, your email address, your LinkedIn link. That's all that I need to know about you. I get every professional and educational information about you from there. Swarangi says, I don't have a research background. Would it reduce my chances to get an MS in computer science and assistantships? Two separate concepts. You don't, sorry about that. You don't always need a research for admit to a master's in computer science. When you're talking about graduate assistantships or teaching assistantships on campus, that is largely grade driven, depending on how strong you are as a candidate. And that will be decided by your faculty and your performance on that campus, right? So your GRE is also very, very critical as far as, so even if you don't have research, but your profile has something diverse, something unique about it, from the last session, you must have understood some of those elements we discussed, then you're fine to apply for masters in computer science. Just be maybe realistic with your list, have a good dream target, safety balanced list. How can this format help doctors applying across different hospitals and also across hospitals across different countries? This is a great format to begin with when you're applying for recruitment as well, because your most recent work has been your education. With your education section, the work that you've done as an intern or your residency period comes under the education section because it's a part of your curriculum. And then you talk about the internships that you've done. Depending on the hospitals that you're looking at applying to from here to there, then you need to change your versions based on the skills that you can showcase in your resume. Okay, if you're given a paper for publication which is still not published, can you mention it in the resume saying in process? Publication don't mention, no? The fact that you finished the paper, you mention that you've done the research paper, but it's not up for publication, and that's fine. All right. So I think at this point, I need to end the session. Unfortunately, there are still some questions that have gone unanswered, and I'm sorry about that. But you can get, somebody asked me about a referral resume template. Yes, you can. If you end up taking an appointment, then just remind the team members there and they will send it to you. I'm not able to take any more questions at this point, but I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out. 2 Sundays is a lot. 2 Saturdays is a lot. So I appreciate you and I appreciate your time. If you're joining me next time, 2 Saturdays away from now, we'll have a more informal session. I'll be sitting down. I'll be talking to you, taking specific questions about each subject that you joined for, whether it's engineering, management, finance, or social sciences. We'll do separate one-on-one sessions on just those subject groups. So within that subject group, I'm going to answer a lot more personal questions about profile and things like that. Until then, please enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, everyone. Take care of your health with the changing weather. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you on the next webinar.